The year was 2000. The world breathes a sigh of relief after computers didn't wipe out humanity. Frosted Tips were still frighteningly popular. Konami was getting interested in chain smoking while playing with balls, and an anime was about to launch a new titan into children's trading card games. That's right, folks. This video is about Yu-Gi-Oh! After the raging success that was the Dragon Ball video, a viewer asked for my opinion on the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga. Even though I've never read the manga, I just had to oblige. For those of you who don't know, according to the Shonen Jump app and a quick Google search to confirm the form bias, asserts that the Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga is split into 3 entities. Now, these entities of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trifecta allow for ease of consumption of this vast story. I mean, just look at this. Part 1 is a nice, breezy 59 chapters. Part 2 is an easy... The Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga has 59 chapters. This was a complicated adventure for me to go on. I watched a good chunk of the anime as it aired through the Battle City arc. I played the card game up until I needed a Class M license to play a children's card game. And the abridged series was literally what introduced me to the platform of YouTube. Also, Extra Shoddy has a crippling addiction to the card game a la Duel Links. That has nothing to do with this video. I just worry about you, buddy. I do recall hearing about lost episodes being a precursor to where the anime starts off. I also recall hearing that there was a darker tone before the power of friendship became the predominant tone. So I didn't really know what to expect going into this manga. I felt it needed to be established that I don't have the rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia going into this. Talking about older franchises can be a difficult task, especially when approaching an older franchise for the first time in the modern era. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug. It can blind us to the shortcomings of something we experienced in our youth when our bar of quality hasn't really formed yet. For example, maybe the Nintendo 64 controller actually does make playing those games a miserable experience. Maybe the original Dragon Ball Z dub didn't age as well as you remember it did. Maybe Super Mario Sunshine wasn't really the polished Mario game you thought it was. Maybe there really wasn't anything interesting about Neon Genesis Evangelion. Maybe
there are no good Sonic the Hedgehog games.
This isn't to say you can't enjoy the things you did as a child just because they weren't objectively quality experiences, but rather they may not stick with a new, older audience experiencing them for the first time. With all that said, after reading this manga, I have so many questions. Where is his nose? What did they do to my precious boy? When did the focus shift strictly to Duel Monsters? Oh, there's his nose. Was Duel Monsters just Magic the Gathering with no rules? Is this manga just Saw for kids? Why is it so edgy if it's just for kids? Did he just jump out of a window? What even are the rules to Duel Monsters at this juncture in the series?
You just summon a bunch of monsters in one turn? That's against the rules, isn't it?
What is a man? Why do I even exist?
I felt a whirlwind of thoughts go through my mind as I read the entirety of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga. It's something I wanted to like, given I did have an attachment to the anime and the card game as a kid, and a wonderful viewer enthusiastically recommended it to me. Yet, I do feel I left the manga with more of a negative viewpoint than a positive one. This video is not at all intended to convince anyone it's a bad manga. I actually would recommend anyone watching to give it a shot, because I definitely think there's still an audience for something like this story. I mean, what do you have to lose? There's literally only 59 chapters to the entirety of the manga. If I can emphatically recommend people to read One Piece, you can read a 59 chapter manga. Okay, now, here's why I think the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga is a schizophrenic experience. The manga starts with Yugi attempting to finish the Millennium Puzzle. Yugi gets bullied in school by Joey and Tristan. Yes, I'm gonna call them by their anime names, and you cannot stop me. But after standing up for them to their bully, they decide that they would literally die for Yugi and give him the final piece to his puzzle, which they originally stole from him. Once completed, the puzzle unlocks Jigsaw Batman mode in Yugi, which whenever something bad happens to Yugi, ranging anywhere from someone telling him his highlights make him look like he's trying too hard, to Krillin dying, this transforms him into his vigilante alter ego to exact revenge upon the ne'er-do-wells of Gotham, I mean, Domino City. For a good while, the flow of the chapters is someone does something either annoying or super villainous to and or around Yugi, then Batman comes out and makes rules up to a game to eternally punish the person who committed the misdeed. I really want to stress that Batman just makes up a game on the spot and tells the other person it will be a shadow game. The other person, without fail, just goes along with it like a stranger telling you you're playing a shadow game is not a red flag to walk away while you still have your toenails outside of plier range. The chapter usually ends with the villain, a shell of their former self, living a life of torment, all because they really wanted a friend to go to karaoke with, but they gave off mad tsundere vibes. Then, the Kaiba family is introduced. This is where the manga starts to somewhat align with the anime, but still drastically differs. The two, let's call them arcs, to appease my lack of vocabulary and willingness to Google myself a thesaurus, surrounding Seto Kaiba, can be summarized as a very drawn-out rendition of the first episode of the anime, except that would be horrendously underselling my favorite thing to come from this manga. That being, Seto takes over his father's company to build an amusement park / skyscraper, all just to show the world he can beat Yugi in a children's card game. Seto being incredibly petty and spending a lot of money to exact revenge. I guess some things never change. First of all, I feel I was done a disservice being introduced to Seto in the anime before the manga, because his design feels like such a downgrade in the manga. However, if you have seen the first episode of the anime, it is wild how that entire episode is just a summarization of key points spread across these two arcs. Kaiba coming to the game store and discovering Yugi's grandfather has a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Kaiba stealing the Blue Eyes White Dragon. Kaiba defeating Yugi's grandpa in a Duel Monsters battle. Kaiba destroying the Blue Eyes White Dragon instead of just, keeping it and having 4 in his deck. Why not have 4 in your deck? There are no rules in Duel Monsters. Keep the dumb card.
Screw the rules, I have money.
Friendship circles drawn on the main cast's hands. Batman Yugi dueling Kaiba and using the power of friendship to summon Exodia. All of those elements, which in my mind I recall it being 11 minutes of anime, were spread across tens of chapters in the manga, interspersed with traumatizing villains with shadow games, Egyptians committing acts of terror to attain artifacts from a museum, and Kaiba's little brother playing what I had assumed was the precursor to the Duke Devlin Dungeon Dice Monsters trademark. The final difference which stood out to me between the manga and the anime was the manga was more interested in making Yugi actually the king of games, not just the king of a single children's card game and occasionally rolling some dice. Between Magic the Gathering with, and I cannot stress this enough, no rules, a gachapon style game which very well could be based on a real game, which, if it is, let me know in the comments because it actually looks kind of fun. Also, leave a like and subscribe. Okay, thanks, bye. Yami also shows proficiency in street fighting, playing mind games on people, playing ancient Chinese card games, and guest starring on Critical Role. That's right, the original Bakura battle wasn't a cosplay Duel Monsters battle, but a fully fledged D&D campaign with Zork. This setup makes way more sense to me, having the characters role-playing in a D&D campaign, rather than having them just randomly assigned to one of the 40 cards in Batman's deck. So yeah, in the manga, I feel Yami actually earns the title of King of Games, even though most of the games he either makes up the rules on the spot, or they literally have no rules, why don't you just believe me the first time I tell you? So yeah, that's the general thoughts I had after reading the Yu-Gi-Oh manga. It's crazy to see how the anime got to what it was from this source material. I can only imagine what Duelist Kingdom and Battle City would have been if it were in the manga. It's almost as if there were supposed to be more than 59 chapters.
My leg!
Thanks for making it this far. I had a lot of fun with this video and look forward to more videos like this. If there's any manga, games, anime, or whatever you think might be fun to hear about, leave it in the comments. It might very well become a video. So until that day comes, keep it tuned in.